It is made of volcanic type materials, but there's no other volcanic activity around it. So what caused this thing? We don't know the answer to that question. It's a really interesting conundrum.
A desert with stone marbles the size of cars. A cliff that sings when the tide rolls in. A rock that marks the moment the dinosaurs vanished. These places are real, and they're stranger than fiction.
Look.
From vanished cities to balancing boulders, nature has written stories in stone you were never meant to forget. And wait until you see the one that looks exactly like an elephant drinking from the sea. You won't believe how it actually formed. Number 30. Cappadocia. This place looks like it was built on a dream, but it wasn't built at all. It was carved. Millions of years ago, 3 volcanoes erupted across central Turkey, leaving behind a thick layer of ash. That ash hardened into a soft stone called tuff. Over time, wind and water sculpted the tuff into jagged towers, some rising over 40 meters, capped with hard rock hats. Locals call them fairy chimneys. But these weren't just natural wonders. People moved in. They hollowed out the chimneys into homes, churches, and underground cities. At Derinkuyu, they dug 85 meters deep. Enough space for 20,000 people to hide, along with livestock, wine, and air shafts. A land born from fire, then shaped by faith, war, and survival. From ancient towers we go to narrow corridors, sculpted not by hands, but by flash floods and time. Number 29. Antelope Canyon. In northern Arizona, the walls move like liquid, but they're stone. Antelope Canyon began as cracks in the earth. Over the last 5 to 6 million years, water flooded through them, carving smooth, wave-like walls out of Navajo sandstone. Flash floods did the work. Every flood made the canyon deeper. Some walls rise over 37 meters, but this beauty hides danger. In 1997, a sudden flood killed 11 people. The canyon gives no warning, just water. It's split in two: Upper Canyon, where sunbeams drop from the sky, and Lower Canyon, a twisting ladder of stone. Both are on Navajo land. Entry is by tour only, and for good reason. These aren't just rocks. The canyon is sacred, a bridge between worlds. But if Antelope was carved by flood, our next stop was painted by pressure, time, and color, layer by layer. Before we continue, if you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button. Go ahead, run that up now before we move forward. Now let's go. Number 28. Rainbow Mountains. Some places don't need flowers to bloom. The Rainbow Mountains in Gansu are hills that look like they were dipped in paint. But the colors are real, millions of years old. First came red sandstone, laid down by rivers and lakes. Then came pressure. Tectonic uplift folded the land. Rain and wind shaved it down. What's left are stripes: red, orange, yellow, green, even blue. Each color tells a story. Iron oxide for red, trace minerals for green and gray. They stretch across 200 square miles in the Jangji Landform Park. UNESCO gave it global status in 2019. And yet, it's not just a postcard. These hills record 100 million years of Earth's memory, a natural archive in full color. Number 27. The Wave. This isn't water, but it flows like it. In the desert between Arizona and Utah, the wave is a sandstone swirl frozen in time. It started nearly 200 million years ago when giant dunes turned to stone. Rare floods carved troughs. Then wind took over, carving curves, ridges, ripples. Layers hardened differently, so some wore away faster. The result? Smooth lines and striated stone rising and falling like a solid tide. It stayed hidden for years. Then came the photographers. Now it's world famous, but only 64 people can visit per day. 48 get permits online. 16 by lottery. No crowds, no footprints, just silence and stone. A masterpiece shaped by time, protected by rules. Next, we head east to where forests turned to stone and myths were carved from limestone. Number 26. Stone Forest. This forest doesn't grow, it rises. Near Kunming in China's Yunnan province, the stone forest is a maze of limestone towers, some stretching 30 meters into the air. But it began underwater. Around 270 million years ago, a shallow sea covered this land. Dead marine life settled, layer by layer, until thick beds of limestone formed. Then came tectonic uplift. Rain seeped into cracks, dissolved the stone, and left behind pillars, jagged, twisted, vertical. Locals call it Shylin. The Yi people say it's where lovers turn to stone. UNESCO calls it a global geopark. Every year, crowds come for the rocks, but it's the silence between them, the stillness of stone, that says the most. Number 25, Bungle Range, Australia. The domes look soft, like piles of silk, but they're made of stone. In the remote Kimberley region of Western Australia, the Bungles rise over 800 feet above the plain. Their rounded shape hides their age, formed from sandstone and conglomerate more than 300 million years ago. Erosion gave them curves. Time gave them stripes. The dark bands are from bacteria. The orange bands are from iron. Together, they hold the shape together. Once known only to indigenous custodians, the world didn't take notice until the early 1980s. Now, it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, quiet, vast, painted by rain and wind, held by silence. Number 24, Devil's Town, Serbia. Something happened here, and it doesn't look natural, even though it is. In southern Serbia, on the slopes of Radan Mountain, stand over 200 stone pillars, each one shaped like a chimney, some capped with harder rock like hats guarding soft heads. They weren't carved, they were eroded. Rain and wind did the work. But legend tells another story. A devil tried to force a marriage between brother and sister. Heaven turned the guests to stone. Near the formations, acidic springs bubble, so strong they can corrode metal. It's been protected since the 1950s, but it changes every year. Pillars fall, new ones rise. The devil may be gone, but the land still moves like it remembers. Number 23, Joshua Tree Rocks, USA. People go for the trees, but the rocks, that's where the story is. In Southern California's Joshua Tree National Park, massive granite boulders seem stacked by giants. Some sit in piles, others balance on edges. Their roots go deep, over 1 billion years deep. First came gneiss, then came granite intrusions. Faults and floods did the rest. Water slipped into cracks. Time broke the stone from within. The result? Rounded domes, cracked blocks, hidden valleys. Hidden Valley itself was blasted open by dynamite in the 1930s for cattle. Now, climbers test themselves on these ancient walls. The earth shaped the rocks, and people shaped the story. Today, they stand together, weathered, silent, eternal. Next, we trade deserts for coastlines, where waves meet fire and stone becomes legend. Number 22, Rainisfoss Basalt Stacks, Iceland. Black sand, sharp waves, stone spires rising from the sea. On Iceland's southern coast, near Vik í Mýrdal, the Rainisdrangar stacks loom like dark guardians. Born from fire and water, they formed when a volcano erupted beneath a glacier during the last ice age. Lava cooled fast, fracturing into hexagonal basalt columns. Ocean waves took it from there, grinding cliffs, shaping caves, and isolating the pillars offshore. Locals say they were trolls caught by the sunrise while dragging a ship, petrified mid-struggle. Now part of Katla UNESCO Geopark, they still draw storm watchers and storytellers. In winter, the wind howls through the cave. In summer, puffins perch on basalt ledges. But always, the sea keeps trying to take it all back. Number 21, Giant's Causeway, United Kingdom. It looks too perfect to be real. 40,000 stone columns, mostly hexagonal, march down to the sea in neat stepping rows. This is the Giant's Causeway, formed 50 to 60 million years ago by an ancient lava flow. As the basalt cooled, it cracked, first down, then sideways. The result? A geometric puzzle locked in stone. Some columns rise 12 meters high. Others are short stubs, like stairs to nowhere. But science isn't the only explanation. Legend says Fionn McCumhale built it as a path to fight a Scottish giant. Matching formations on Staffa Island give the myth weight. Today, the site draws nearly 1 million people a year. And still, the stones wait, quiet, perfect, and powerful. Number 20. Singi de Maraha, Madagascar. This is not a place for shoes or bare feet. In the Melnik region of western Madagascar, the Singi rise like a blade forest. Singi means where one cannot walk barefoot. It fits. The limestone here cracked over millions of years into thousands of needle-sharp spires, some as tall as 70 meters. Water did the work. Rain slipped into fractures, dissolved the stone, left behind a labyrinth. But life finds a way. Tiny chameleons, rare lemurs, and ancient snails thrive in the shadows. Every level, from summit to base, hosts different species. It's a vertical world, a maze of stone and silence. Declared a UNESCO site in 1990, protected since 1927, still wild, still dangerous, still alive. Number 19. Trrona Pinnacles. They don't look like they belong. Out in the Mojave Desert, 500 stone spires rise from a dry lake bed. These are the Trrona Pinnacles, remnants of ancient underwater chemistry. During the Ice Age, glacial runoff filled nearby Searles Lake. When calcium-rich groundwater met the lake's alkaline water, tufa towers began to grow. Some reached 140 feet before the lake dried up. Now they stand in silence, weathered, ghostly, and strange. Filmmakers love them. So do photographers. But science tells the older story of minerals, time, and disappearing water. Designated a National Natural Landmark in 1968, the spires remain untouched, except by wind and memory. Next, we head into true wilderness, a place where even maps hesitate and the rocks look like creatures from another world. Number 18. Bisty Badlands, USA. Out here, the rocks don't just sit, they twist, balance, and vanish overnight. In the high desert of New Mexico, the Bisty Badlands stretch across 45,000 acres of alien terrain. Once the floor of an ancient inland sea, layers of mudstone, shale, and coal were laid down, then lifted, then stripped bare. What remains are hoodoos and spires, some topped by wide stones like helmets, others shaped like cracked eggs or frozen wings. But these formations aren't permanent. Wind and rare rainstorms carve and collapse them constantly. Some vanish in months. Others take centuries. Beneath your feet lie dinosaur bones and crocodile fossils. Above, a sky that's seen it all. This isn't just erosion, it's a sculpture that never stops changing. Number 17. Uluru, Australia. It doesn't look like it belongs. Just one giant monolith rising from the flat, empty desert. But Uluru has been here for over 500 million years. Once part of an ancient seabed, its coarse sandstone was buried, hardened, then tilted by tectonic forces until it stood nearly vertical. Unlike the land around it, Uluru refuses to crumble. Its strength is its simplicity. But this isn't just geology, it's sacred ground. For the Anangu people, Uluru holds stories older than memory. Every crack, cave, and waterhole connects to Chukurpa, creation law. It was returned to indigenous ownership in 1985. Climbing it is now banned, but you can still walk around its base and listen. The rock speaks. You just have to be quiet long enough. Number 16. Priestlan, Norway. Priestlan doesn't just overlook a fjord, it commands it. Known as Pulpit Rock, this square cliff rises over 600 meters above Lysefjorden. The summit is nearly flat, 25 meters wide in both directions. What's wild is how it formed. During the last ice age, glaciers carved deep into the granite. Freeze-thaw cycles split off giant chunks, leaving behind this massive, perfect platform. But there's a fissure, half a meter wide, running near the edge. It's stable for now. Scientists scan it regularly. Still, it adds a little weight to every step taken there. Over 300,000 people visit each year. Some take selfies. Others just stand in silence, watching the fjord below. Here, stone and sky meet in the quietest kind of thrill. Number 15. Krasnoyarsk Pillars, Russia. 10 kilometers south of Krasnoyarsk, stone towers rise from the Siberian taiga like frozen flames. These are the stolbi, formed around 350 million years ago when magma cooled into syenite beneath ancient plains. Time, ice, and erosion split the rock along natural joints, revealing slender spires and blocky towers. Locals started climbing them in the late 19th century, not for sport, but for freedom. In 1899, protesters carved Svoboda into the stone. The message stuck. Now it's a park, over 47,000 hectares of wild forest, rare eagles, and orchids. Climbers still scale the pillars without ropes, following a local tradition called stolbism. In this forest, the rocks remember more than geology. They remember defiance. Number 14. Bellagradic Rocks, Bulgaria. Some fortresses are built, others are revealed. On the western edge of Bulgaria's Balkan Mountains, the Bellagradic rocks rise like sentinels, red, ochre, and gold spires towering up to 200 meters. These formations began in a shallow sea during the Permian period. Sand and gravel turned to stone. Then came tectonic shifts. Uplift cracked the land. Rain and wind shaped the rest, carving arches, towers, and columns out of the landscape. But it's not just geology. These rocks tell stories. Locals name them the Madonna, the Horseman, the Schoolgirl. Each has a legend: lovers, monks, betrayal, and curses. Roman walls and Ottoman forts still cling to the cliffs. History and myth etched into stone, watching over a land that never quite stopped believing. Number 13. Enedi Desert, Chad. In northeastern Chad, the Enedi Plateau sprawls like a sandstone kingdom. The land here is vast, roughly the size of Switzerland, but its beauty hides in detail. Wind and time shaped arches, towers, and mushroom-headed pillars across its dry canyons. Some formations rise over 200 meters, but this desert doesn't just echo with wind. It speaks in paintings. Rock art more than 7,000 years old covers cave walls. Giraffes, cattle, hunters, scenes from a time when the Sahara was green. Petroglyphs in places like Neoladoa and Arche Canyon tell stories of early pastoralists. Gueltas, desert pools, still host crocodiles and migrating birds. The land is dry now, but its bones remember water, people, and art. From one sandstone sanctuary to another, we travel to a volcano where gods are said to walk. Number 12. Bromo Tengger Semeru, Indonesia. This place breathes smoke. Mount Bromo, part of a 5-volcano complex in East Java, rises from the heart of a 16-kilometer-wide caldera, a sea of volcanic sand stretching as far as the eye can see. The crater has been active for centuries, with ash plumes rising from its mouth as recently as 2020. The Tengerese people live all around it. Every year, during the Yadnya Kasada festival, they hike to the rim and throw offerings, fruit, animals, money into the smoking crater. It's not just a volcano, it's a god. The wider complex includes Mount Semeru, the tallest mountain on the island, and 4 crater lakes. For centuries, this place has erupted, reshaped, and yet remained sacred. Number 11. Fingals Cave, Scotland. On the island of Staffa, off Scotland's rugged western coast, there's a cave made of music and basalt. Fingals Cave was formed 60 million years ago by volcanic lava flows that cooled and cracked into hexagonal columns. Wave erosion did the rest, slicing an entrance straight into the rock, forming a vaulted cathedral that sings when the tide rolls in. Discovered by naturalist Joseph Banks in the 1770s, the cave enchanted artists for centuries. Composer Felix Mendelssohn visited in 1829. What he heard became the Hebrides Overture. Poets followed, painters too. The cave is 45 meters deep, 22 meters high, and completely untouched by hand. It's not just a natural wonder. It's a hymn carved in stone. Number 10. Elephant Rock, Iceland. It's not carved, it's not sculpted, but you'd swear someone shaped it by hand. On Jaime Island in Iceland's Westman Archipelago, a massive basalt formation looms over the Atlantic like an elephant dipping its trunk into the sea. It's volcanic in origin, born from the same forces that created Mount Eldfell. Lava flowed, cooled fast, and fractured into hardened shapes. Wind and salt water did the rest. Look closely, and you'll see the fold of an ear, the curve of a trunk, even a hollow for an eye. Local legend says it's more than a rock, it's a guardian, a silent beast watching the sea. Whether myth or nature, it stands firm against the waves, impossible to ignore. Number 9. El Capitan, USA. In Yosemite Valley, El Capitan rises nearly 3,000 feet from the valley floor, a solid granite monolith forged in Earth's deep past. Around 100 million years ago, molten rock cooled beneath the surface, forming massive sheets of granite. Tectonic uplift brought them skyward. Glaciers came next, carving away everything soft. What remained was El Capitan, clean, sheer, and defiant. Climbers dream of it. The first ascent was in 1958. In 2017, Alex Honnold climbed it alone. No ropes, just willpower, immortalized in the film Free Solo. But long before climbers arrived, this wall stood alone, shaped only by ice and time. It doesn't move, it doesn't bend, it waits. Number 8. Jangji Pillars, China. They rise like islands in the sky, 800-meter sandstone towers scattered through the misty forests of Hunan. These are the Jangji Pillars, part of the Wulingyuan Scenic Area. The rock here is hard quartzite sandstone laid down nearly 400 million years ago. But time, water, and roots wore away the weaker stone around them, leaving behind spires that seem to float. Some call them the inspiration for the floating mountains in Avatar. But long before Hollywood found them, locals walked these paths. Some towers have stairs, others an elevator carved into the rock, soaring over 300 meters in under 2 minutes. Each pillar stands alone, but together they form a kingdom in the clouds. From towers that touch the heavens, we now turn to one figure standing still in the desert, silent, regal, and carved by wind. Number 7. Princess of Hope, Pakistan. In the Hingol Desert of Pakistan, a lone figure gazes toward the horizon. She has no face, no arms, just the shape of a woman standing tall. Locals call her the Princess of Hope. She wasn't made by hand. Rain and desert winds shaped her, slowly, steadily, out of sandstone and mudstone. Her waist curves like a statue. Her crown juts proudly from her head. The name stuck after a visit by Angelina Jolie in 2002. Since then, she's become a symbol of solitude, beauty, and endurance. Around her, the Hingol National Park stretches wide. Canyons, mud volcanoes, and rocks shaped like sphinxes. But it's the princess who stays in your mind, still, silent, unbroken. Number 6. Shiprock, New Mexico, USA. It rises straight from the desert, sharp and alone. In northwestern New Mexico, Shiprock reaches over 1,500 feet above the plain. It's the hardened throat of a long-extinct volcano, what geologists call a volcanic neck. About 27 million years ago, magma pushed upward, cooled inside, and left this jagged core. The softer earth around it, long since eroded away. To the Navajo, it's Tse Bitai, the rock with wings. A sacred place. Legend says a giant bird carried their ancestors here, then turned to stone. Dark magma dikes spread like frozen lightning from its base. No one climbs it anymore, out of respect. And because once you stand before it, you understand it wasn't made for climbing. It was made for remembering. Number 5. Torish Kazakhstan. In the middle of Kazakhstan's Mangistau region, the land seems to roll with giant stone spheres, hundreds of them. Some are as small as pumpkins, others bigger than a car. Locals call it the Valley of Balls, but these weren't placed. They formed underground, slowly, as minerals like calcite or iron oxide collected around small cores. Over millions of years, they hardened. Then erosion revealed them. No one really knows why they're so perfectly round. Theories point to chemical reactions in ancient seabeds, back when this was part of the Tethys Ocean. Some say they're alien. Others say they're the frozen remains of a giant's playground. But the truth? These orbs hold Earth's quiet chemistry, baked in silence and stone. From a valley of spheres, we step into a town of spires, where stone rises like teeth and time waits in layers. Number 4. Melnik Earth Pyramids. The hills around Melnik don't just rise. They taper, twist, and tower like stone candles melting in reverse. These are the Melnik Earth Pyramids. Stretching across 17 square kilometers, some rise nearly 100 meters tall. They were born in the wake of a vanished lake. Layers of sand, gravel, and clay were laid down 5 million years ago. Then came the water, then the wind, then the cold. Freeze-thaw cycles split the rock, rivers dug deeper, gravity pulled it all downward. What's left are pyramids with jagged ridges and narrow tips, some like mushrooms, others like daggers. But it's not just geology. Birds nest in their cracks, trails cut through them, and every evening the shadows stretch like they're still growing. Number 3. Golden Rock. High on Mount Kyaiktiyo, a golden boulder leans over the abyss, daring gravity to prove it wrong. The golden rock is 7 meters tall and rests on a ledge so narrow it seems to float. Scientists say it's a granite boulder deposited by ancient landslides and locked in place by tectonic lift. Locals say otherwise. Legend tells of a single hair from the Buddha tucked beneath the stone, keeping it from falling. Covered in gold leaf by pilgrims, the rock glows at sunrise. Men press their hands against it. Women pray from below. It's the third most sacred site in Myanmar, but also one of the most precarious. Balanced between belief and nature, the golden rock doesn't just sit, it holds its breath. Number 2. Fleisch Cliffs of Zumaya, Spain. The cliffs near Zumaya don't just rise, they record. Along Spain's Basque coast, steep layers of sandstone, shale, and limestone stretch for kilometers, stacked like pages of a rock-bound book. These are the Fleisch Cliffs, laid down between the Cretaceous and Eocene periods over 60 million years ago, when deep marine sediments settled in rhythmic cycles. Later, tectonic pressure lifted and tilted them nearly vertical. But the secret hides in a thin, dark band. A clay line rich in iridium marks the KPG boundary, the moment the dinosaurs vanished. It's one of the clearest records of mass extinction on Earth. 2 golden spikes, official markers of geologic time, have been placed here. Visitors don't just walk along the coast, they walk through eras, 1 footstep per million years. Number 1. Kjeragbolten, Norway. Suspended over 1,000 meters above Lysefjorden, Kjeragbolten doesn't touch the ground. It floats, trapped between 2 vertical walls of granite held by pressure and perfect geometry. The boulder is 5 cubic meters in size. It was left behind during the last ice age, carried by glaciers and dropped into this narrow crevice as the ice retreated. Since then, it hasn't moved, not once. Thousands hike to it every year. Some stand on top, others just stare. There are no railings, no ropes, just air beneath your feet. The fjord yawns wide below, and in that moment you realize this isn't just geology, it's balance, between danger and wonder, between fear and beauty. One rock holding still, one world moving around it. So, which place would you dare to visit? Or which one do you think shouldn't even exist? Drop your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe for more unbelievable wonders you won't believe are real.